This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is show for the week of March 25th, 2024. And we are recording on our normal day and time, which is good because I think like the day that we didn't record last week because we recorded early, like all this news was coming out. Yeah. So we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about that came out last week for this summer and beyond. But a reminder for everybody on social media, Twitter, Insta, Facebook, and our YouTube channel, all at the DBC Pod. And of course, our Discord server. Make sure you hop on and join the conversation. Challenge everybody to share this with all of your friends and family. We get some new people on Discord and join the conversation, or have them join the conversation. Fresh blood is always nice to have from time to time. That being said, we just started putting out, I just finished it literally like an hour ago. We're going to start doing some YouTube shorts. So if you watch the show, I guess there's no need to watch the shorts, but they're out there in case you wanted some 60-minute or 60-second bite clips. So we're starting to pump that out and try to bring some new viewership to the channel. So that being said, if you are watching on YouTube right now, just pause right now or just scroll down if you're on your phone and hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate that. That helps us out. And if you have an extra 5 seconds, leave a comment. It could be anything, even just saying hello. We appreciate that. That being said, we did mention at the top of the show, at the intro, that a lot was going on, Phil. Yep. We got, we've been talking about Tiana's Bayou Adventure quite a bit, and I knew you edited the show notes because something just popped out. We saw some music's happening at Tiana. So why don't you go in and say what's going on Tiana's?
So I tried to group all the information because a lot of it seemed geared towards new things coming out for this summer, and we mentioned it last time. That, obviously Disney has announced that Tiana's Bayou Adventure will be opening this summer at Walt Disney World. And we don't know more narrow a scope than just this summer, but it seems to be moving ahead. And a couple of new things happened recently. Imagineers have been seen riding the ride. So there's video of them, human beings coming down the final drop and stuff like that. And then just today, there was, I think I saw first on Blog Mickey that they recorded. You could hear the music, and it was some of the big songs down in New Orleans from Princess and the Frog and stuff. You can see that, or not see that. You can hear it in the area, so that the area is coming to life, and that it just feels like it's getting closer and closer. And that, I don't know, maybe by our next show we might hear an open gate or something like that.
I mean, to me, it's amazing. So we've got like the water test dummies that usually goes for quite some time on a brand new ride system, but obviously it's not. We see people going down, which is like, okay, well, if Imagineers are going down, there really isn't any more ride vehicle testing. So I think the only thing that he would be testing, assuming that everything inside still being installed a little bit, is the vehicle envelope testing to make sure people can't reach out and pull something as the vehicle goes by, all that type of stuff. So I know that's probably going on, but I keep saying this every week, Phil. I still think Memorial Day is like a realistic target.
Yeah.
Especially if people are going down that thing.
Yeah, I mean, assuming they're going to have to do a lot of testing with the timing of the show scenes and stuff like that. So you'll probably see people testing a lot. I know a lot of those like behind the scenes videos they have on Disney Plus. The Imagineers talk about how they had to ride, whether it's Frozen or something like that, like hundreds of times to like make sure the timing and everything was exactly right. So there's definitely still some more testing to be done. But yeah, I don't know, I still think previews will happen by then. I don't know if it'll be fully open, but it's becoming more and more likely. It's definitely going to be it seems like earlier in the summer than later at this point, which is exciting.
Yeah. And when we're talking about like all this, we're going to talk about basically something coming to every single park this summer, or being planned, or rumors for additions over the coming years. And I don't know if I just didn't read the show notes fully that you wrote, or I just added at the end, and I see you included in the section. we can't forget about the Country Bears.
I actually didn't have that
Jamboree.
initially. I moved that up to put it with the Magic Kingdom
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, we haven't really heard a lot in a little bit, other than when they had that new poster and stuff like that a bit ago, that there's going to be the new Country Bear show. That obviously the ride's currently closed or the attraction's closed, and they're working on it. But that's supposed to open this summer too, I believe. So that'd be two new things in Magic Kingdom this summer.
Yeah, I mean, the original announcement's coming later this summer, so there's no like time frame on that. But you know, we're talking about this Magic Kingdom stuff, and then you know the next one is Epcot's announcing the Communicore Hall when that's going to be opened, and it's June 10th.
Yep.
And they've got the Encanto sing along in there. We don't know anything about it, so my first question, Phil, is as we're seeing Communicore finally opening up.
Yeah.
And remember we talked about like festivals kind of like having a weird gap. This is probably the reason why. So it can timed with this. So what are your expectations for the Communicore Hall and more importantly, this show that they're putting on?
Yeah, so Communicore Hall, obviously it's going to be home for Mickey and friends, where you'll be able to meet them, and it'll have some indoor space with displays related to the festivals, and then I'll have outdoor space for music stages, and you can be able to sit inside and outside and hear the music and stuff like that. So I don't know if this Encanto thing is at the same spot that normally music will be performed, and that won't be happening until after the Encanto sing-along is over, which will be going from June 10th when the hall opens until September 6th, or if this is going to be trading off and on. But the Encanto sing-along definitely was not an announcement I was expecting. From the video, from the image that they showed, or like the concept art, it's definitely people performing, and there's like people playing the role, you know. Yep. Maribel and Bruno are on stage and stuff like that. It's not like they're putting up a movie and you're singing along to that. Like, so it's definitely going to be singing along with the characters and stuff.
We knew this was coming, right? Because there was like a casting call for.
Yeah, well, there was a casting call for Bruno that was in like a parade, I think, and then Maribel has the meet and greet and stuff like that. So I don't know if we knew there was going to be a show like this. So I don't recall anything like that.
Okay, maybe I'm just putting like two different things together in my head. But I'm like, no, we saw the picture. I think I'm not expecting any like permanent or semi-permanent infrastructure for the show. It's not like Beauty and the Beast, right? Where there's a set and everything else like that. So it could be like this is performed during the day up until like early evening. And maybe a band goes in late at night. If they're going to do something else like that. Maybe they could switch them out. I don't know. I'm kind of excited about this because, again, that side of the park, or the central hub, as you learned a couple of weeks ago, is pretty quiet and nice, right? But the whole area of all the different neighborhoods is kind of, it's not dynamic, I should say, right? It's always, you got Moana, but it's Journey of Water, but it's all enclosed, so you can't really see inside. You've got the land, which it's great, but there's nothing going outside of the land, right? It's just a building that you walk up to and you go into. Same thing with Nemo, and Imagination Pavilion is 50 years old at this point, so I don't think anybody's walking over there, and they're not doing anything outside to that point. And then on the other side, again, it's Guardians, Test Track. Again, all these buildings, but there's nothing like engaging that's going. Like when you're walking around World Showcase, there's people, there's performers, there's food booths. It's dynamic. Things are constantly moving around, you know, the Japanese drummers, that type of thing. So I'm really actively looking forward to having some kind of like entertainment going on in that part of the park. And I think it's going to add quite a bit, in my opinion, anyway.
I agree. I think it's great. And I think it also shows that they're really trying to get Encanto in as soon as possible. This, you know, and I think this also feels like it might be a test for something larger, whether it's going to be for a Broadway play or something out in the theater in Disneyland or something like that. But, you know, I think it's nice that they're doing this, and they should do more of this, right? You have a popular franchise. It takes years to get a new attraction done. Do a show, do a parade, something like that. They used to do more of this, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a problem that it's like IP and it's Encanto here? Or do you welcome that type of thing? So let's say Encanto ends, right? Has an end date. Do you think that they need to add another, you know, IP production in that space, or maybe a couple times a year? What are your expectations going forward for this space? What would you like to see?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think a lot of it's going to be more music based and kind of like still kind of chill and relax, because that's one thing I don't want to go away. You know, we talked about how that area is really nice, that you could, in the morning, like grab your cup of coffee, and if you're local, maybe even do some work while you're there or something like that. And I don't want that kind of chill, relaxed vibe to go away. So I don't want it to be like party central the whole day. But yeah, having the occasional show and getting people into that area and excited and another thing for people to do to take them away from the popular attractions, I think would be great. So yeah, I don't know which IPs I want in there. I think for some reason Encanto feels like it kind of fits just because it feels like it's a different culture. So it kind of fits with the whole World Showcase and stuff like that. So in some ways that fits better to me than if they just did like Mickey and Friends doing, or like, doing stuff like that. But I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this way. You get a lot of just random musical productions in the American theater, right? And it could be anywhere from like C-list celebrities singing to like some really good productions.
Yeah.
Do you want something like that mirrored up here, or do you want it more in this part of the park, something that's more, I don't know, produced, that's there permanently, or at least some, like, it has a run rather than like, this weekend only type of thing?
I like the idea of maybe something seasonal. I guess I don't know if that's in between. I don't think it needs to be something that there's for 10 years or something like that.
Right.
But, the idea of maybe, how there's different festival each season, kind of, you could almost have like a different act each season or something that kind of matches with the festival.
Yeah, that's where I go, because I think it'd be really cool if like every festival has a show that they put on, and then maybe at night it changes over to some kind of like, because like the whatchamacallit, the art for the space looked like it was like a concert going on there all the time. Like the lights are going off. They have a lot of cool lighting there, so I think they're going to be using that lighting package for something.
Yep.
So we'll see. Okay, so that's Epcot. We got the Epcot sing along, and then we're going over what's going on in Animal Kingdom, Phil.
Yeah, so at Animal Kingdom, they announced that for this summer they will be celebrating 30 years of The Lion King. So it's the 30th anniversary of The Lion King when that first came out. And they'll be doing a number of things around the park. Mentioned that you can meet Timon and Rafiki over at Rafiki's Planet Watch. And then the animation experience that goes on in Rafiki's Planet Watch, they'll be doing all characters from The Lion King. And of course, like any good celebration, there will be lots of special merch and food, including a Pumbaa popcorn bucket.
You can't go wrong with a popcorn bucket. I caught myself like thinking about the popcorn bucket I bought at the Christmas party.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could use another one. And I'm like, no, I cannot be the person that keeps buying popcorn buckets. I don't have space for it, and it's silly, but I like them.
Yep.
Do you think this is good? Do you think they're having it at Rafiki Planet Watch to get people to go there to explore the park? Or is it like the only space that you can put it in the park?
I think maybe a little of both. I mean, obviously it makes sense if you're going to have Rafiki to have him at Rafiki's Planet Watch, and he's met there before.
Sure.
So I guess they're just putting Timon there with him as well, and that's where the animation experience. So I think it was kind of convenient that that's where it was, but the idea of having something to sort of promote that and get more people to go out there to kind of spread the crowds around, I think works as well. So
I've never been there, and I'm always looking for an excuse to get there, but it's like, we're at Animal Kingdom and we're doing our thing. Do we want to go and take, I don't know, what is that, like at least an hour and a half of your time to like get there, do a thing, and then come up, wait for the train?
Yeah,
and come
about
all the
that
way back?
probably.
So it's always kind of like, what are we doing? Are we leaving, or do we want to go on this kind of excursion? One of these days I'll get back there, and I'm happy that they're doing this, because I don't think half the people know that there's a thing to go back there, because the train station's like hidden. Like there's
it really is.
Signage. You can walk past it like 100 times.
You really do have to look for it.
I mean, go back to our Matt's podcast, and was it Mike that was doing his trip report, and he like didn't even know one of the trails was back there because the signage was missing. So there's a lot of stuff there that I think people taking for granted is not the right word, but like just miss or don't know is there, and don't look to ask. So that's really cool coming to Animal Kingdom. And then of course, did we talk about a couple of weeks ago about the permits that are opening up? Did we talk about that on the show?
So we mentioned it.
We were missing.
I think we mentioned it a little bit, and that the idea was about the construction happening there. But this past week was a new permit filed specifically for like the setup of all the like prep area, and where like they're going to have all the kind of the project management buildings and stuff like that. And that's all for the whole big area that is behind the water ride why am I blanking on the name of it?
Kali River Rapids.
Kali River Rapids. Yes, back there, there's a huge swath of land, and that's all being set up, and then I'll have a roadway down into Dino Land area. So it seems like the construction work on Dino Land is coming sooner rather than later.
It's imminent. Like if these permits get filed, basically, if you look at the permits, and I think they're posted at wdwmagic.com in one of those threads, and it's just basically a whole space with just like construction trailers, like office space, temporary office spaces that are just put everywhere. And they're drawing, they're going to build a road from there all the way down to the back end of Dino Land, so it's easy access for construction and stuff like that. What that tells you is something's definitely coming to Animal Kingdom. It's definitely going to be in Dino Land. We just don't know what and how yet. But there's been speculation by Len Testa and others that, there's something coming in Hollywood Studios. We don't know if it's Animal Kingdom. But they're like all talking what's coming first. And this goes to show that it's a little bit of everything, because there's a lot of other rumors swirling around. But Animal Kingdom is definitely coming first. They've been talking about it. And, the one last tidbit, I think it was earlier today, or either yesterday or earlier today, Joe Rohde posted something on, was it Instagram?
It's just today, actually. Yeah, his Instagram, he posted that he was at the Walt Disney Imagineering building and saying like, hey, stop by to do going to do a little work at the old farm or something like that, which of course let everyone go crazy thinking he was like going to work on a project or something like that. So far what's been released is he's going to be teaching some master classes to current Imagineers, which, hey, that's not a bad thing to have him just as like a resource for current Imagineers to talk to.
Yes.
But maybe it's also just kind of dipping his toe in, and then he'll get a little bit more involved.
So we'll see. So nothing, I don't like you said to me before the show, I don't think this is anything to raise a stink about, or not a stink about, but like get super excited about, because he could definitely help with Animal Kingdom, but he's not a current employee of WDI. So maybe if at best it's consulting work. Yeah.
I did have one question I wanted to ask you though about the Dino Land work, because Len Testa and Jim Hill were talking about this a little bit too, but do you think they're going to just close the whole area and do everything at once? Do you think they'll do the dinosaur like refurb first and kind of get that done and then work on the Encanto part or whatever it's going to be? Or do you think they'll do the reverse and kind of keep dinosaur open for a little bit and then try to get the Encanto stuff done first? Like, kind of how do you think that they'll do that project?
I have to think about it, because when you walk into Dino Land, you see that dinosaur, it feels like it's tucked up and away, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of is, but with utility access, construction access, does that get in the way?
Right.
Are they able to maneuver around there and also working efficiently? Can they do that? If they can, I think they keep dinosaur open for a longer period of time, but eventually both areas will be shut down, obviously, because I don't think they're going to open up the Encanto area and then shut down dinosaur and put what people think is Indiana Jones in that spot, right? So I think they want to open up the whole thing all at once, so eventually it all gets shut down.
Okay.
I don't think Disney wants to like open up Encanto and then for another year do Indy and then like stagger them. I think they just want to put it all out there. So let's say the whole project itself takes, I don't know, from first shovel in the ground, 2.5, 3 years, somewhere in that time frame. I think dinosaur might be, I don't know, open for an extra year maybe as they prep all the other land. I don't know, but okay. I think you will see walls to dinosaur for some amount of time until everything has to come down for construction reasons.
Okay, I was wondering
with that.
I think so. I think that makes sense, and I definitely think keeping dinosaur open to keep another attraction going, and then trying to get the Encanto stuff going as quick as can. And I hadn't really thought about the idea of starting that earlier and then closing everything and having it all open, say within 18 months or whatever when you shut down dinosaur. Jim Hill thought that they might just do dinosaur first, and like while they're working on Encanto, and get that kind of done first, so that they would have a newer ride kind of say for 2026 or something like sooner that they could promote. Which I guess I makes sense if they're not going to have anything else new, and that could be the one thing they have new kind of in the meantime. But it wouldn't really add capacity to the park, it would just add demand, I guess. So I don't know what would work best.
I mean, they could do that. I don't see why they would. In my opinion, I think they want to make a big splash, because if you close dinosaur, no one's going to that side of the park anyway, right? There's nothing there. I mean, you're not walking all the way over there for a Restosaurus and like Triceratops spin.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're walking over the way, be like, what's over there? Oh, there's nothing there. I'm going over to Nemo on my way over, or something else like that. So it's tricky. I think they just kind of rip the Band-Aid off, I guess, and just close down everything eventually when they finally have to. That's where I'm going with it. Next is Hollywood Studios.
Yep.
You have written here that there's going to be a Joy meet and greet moving over from Epcot into Pixar Place.
Yep, that'll also start June 10th, and that's not a new additional meet and greet. It's that she's leaving Epcot to go over there. And then they also had previously announced, I believe it's starting in April, that there'll be new locations added to Star Tours. So those will be the new things at Hollywood Studios.
Now, none of this excites me, but it's cool that they're promoting the new movie that's coming out. When's the date for that movie?
You know what? I don't know. They've been having trailers and stuff like that too, so it's pretty soon.
It's got to be at some point quickly in the next quarter, I would have to guess.
June 14th.
There we go. Week after it debuts in movies, so you're going to have a new meet and greet. Well, not new meet and greet, but a transferred meet and greet.
Yep.
Because I guarantee you the vast majority of people don't know Joy is in Epcot in the Imagination Pavilion. I saw her 2 years ago, or in the end of 22, so I guess a year and a half ago. And I'm like, oh, that's sad that she's kind of like tucked away in this like abandoned 80s mall that is the Imagination Pavilion. So there is a rumor going around, Phil, and there's nothing substantiated about it. There's no hints at it other than it's somewhat substantial. So it's not like a meet and greet. It's not Little Mermaid coming back. It's something, which was the impetus for our map DBC engagement a couple of weeks ago. And I think you're going to start seeing, people are saying you're going to start seeing shovels in the ground for that. There's there's rumors coming from every single direction on this. And most of us fans and those that are in the media, I guess, or Disney fandom media, we're guessing something was coming to Hollywood Studios and that surprises us because they just got done with Toy Story Land, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, all within the last, was it 2018, 2019, and 19, right? So Toy Story Land came out the year before that. So are you surprised that we're going to see something substantial here? I mean, I know we talked about this last week, but I think we need to bring it up in context with all this other stuff that's going on.
I mean, I definitely think as part of like when they talked about the $17 billion for Walt Disney World, like that part of that needs to be at Hollywood Studios. It still needs more. It needs more reliable rides. It needs more variety of rides. It needs just other attractions and shows. I do think other parks, Animal Kingdom certainly needs it more than Hollywood Studios. But
I think Hollywood Studios needs it though.
Yeah.
I mean, just as much as Animal Kingdom, because that park is nothing but e-ticket attractions for the most part and a bunch of shows.
Yeah, so I guess it does need it. I guess I'm a little surprised if it happens so soon at the same time Animal Kingdom's going on and stuff like that. So I guess we'll have to see the exact timing of it, but I definitely think it needs something. So I'm not surprised if something happens eventually.
Talking about another surprise that you're probably not very interested in is what's going on at Disney Springs, Phil. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So they did announce, there's always been talk about when is drone technology going to come to some nighttime show at Walt Disney World. Well, it's finally coming. It's going to start on May 24th through September 2nd. So another summer offering. It will be at Disney Springs, though, not at any of the theme parks. You may recall that there was a drone show several years ago at Disney Springs. Mm-hmm. It sounds like this one will be larger, like using more drones and stuff like that. And it's called Dreams That Soar, I believe it's called. And it's going to run nightly. So we'll have to wait. We're not too far away from seeing it, but we will see. And I guess it's like Jason's joking because I said I wasn't as excited about drones because it's just been talked about for so long that it's like, okay, I kind of feel like the shine has come off drones because you see them all over the place now. It's not as like kind of new or creative. I do think this is a nice offering to have it at Disney Springs. Obviously, you don't need a ticket to get in or anything. And, we have our trip coming down. We have an off day. This does kind of motivate me to say, hey, maybe let's check that out on our off day, going to Disney Springs or something like that. So it might motivate more people to make a ride to Disney Springs.
So, well, here's the question, right? How do you plan your vacation around a non-ticketed Disney Springs event? A lot of people like to go to Disney Springs for like dinner or just walking around on their non-ticket day because it's something to do. And so for me personally, or for our family, some years we go, some years we don't. And the years that we don't really miss anything.
Yeah.
But do you now plan to bring your family to Disney Springs for the drone show every single time you go? Let's say it's a good show, right? Say
Yeah.
it's fun. It's not just kind of boring, whatever, but it's a good, entertaining show. Is this like a must do every single time for something like that?
I guess it would depend. I don't know if it'd be a must do every time, but I certainly would want to check it out at least once. And if we like it and we're able to, I don't think I would like add a day to my trip that was otherwise going to be occupied just to do this. But if it was like a longer trip that we're going to plan a downtime, have an off day, I would probably fit it in. Yeah.
So let's say you go this summer,
Mhm.
you've got 2 trips planned for this summer. Well, your family's split one
Splitting
trip
off,
into 2.
yeah.
But you're going to go definitely check it out. I know that, right?
Yeah.
So you just said that. So let's say you loved it. Your whole family loved it. You go again in 2025. Are you like doing like a half a day at the park and leaving a park, I don't know, at like 4:00 to go back and then go out to Disney Springs? Are you purposely planning a dinner at Disney
Yeah.
Springs just so you're around this? If you really enjoyed it, like, is that going to be like a new thing for you to do?
Yeah. It's hard for me to say absolutely like
Well, sure.
100% would do it, but it would definitely motivate me to like, that was really good. And we really had a good time. And like, let's see if we could figure out a way to get Disney Springs. And where before it was more like sometimes we go, sometimes we don't, blah, blah, blah. Like it would be like, no, let's try to fit it in if we can. But
Like for me, like I would definitely fit it in because I'm looking for things to do on non-park days at Disney World, right?
Mhm.
And with my young kids walking around, like I'll go and I'll get a margarita and get the kids and I'll sit down and watch at Docksides. Last time we went, there was a musician just playing the guitar, singing. I wanted to sit there for like 40 minutes and just chill. My wife's like, no, I don't want to sit here for 40 minutes. Let's go do something else. So it's like shopping and whatever. But if there's something where I can go and maybe get dinner or do something, but then have someplace to sit and watch a thing that the whole family enjoys, I would love to do that for an evening at Disney Springs, especially since it has to be done at night.
Yeah.
And during the summer, I absolutely hate Disney Springs in the summertime.
Understandable.
It's brutally hot, right? And it doesn't get dark until 9:00 or so.
Yeah.
The only thing that has me concerned, and I'm really interested to see how the public accepts this once it ages. It's not brand new anymore because
Mhm.
what kind of riffraff are going to be in Disney Springs at night to watch this show? A lot of bars, a lot of drinking, and all this other stuff. So that's the only thing with a young family with kids that I'd be, I don't know if concerned, but like, I'd have to be on the watch for. Kind of similar to like an elevated, like being at Epcot late and worrying about people drinking around the world type of thing. It's going to be in the back of my mind.
Yep. And I could see the same thing similar to like during festivals and stuff that maybe avoided on Friday and Saturday night, try to do it midweek or something like that.
Okay, so there's kind of like a mixed theme to a lot of these things. So we've got ride redos, we got stage shows, we got meet and greets. None of this, we talk about rumors of new rides, Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Nothing's going to be open for 2025.
Right.
When do you expect to hear? Because there's also other rumors that there's going to be like a ramp up of Disney entertainment in the parks. And that's parades and, stage shows and meet and greets, things that aren't in buildings or built for buildings, but like things they can just add. So do you expect to see a ramp up of announcements before or after D23? I know they're coming, right?
Yeah, whether it's before or at D23, I definitely think there's more coming. I definitely think, you mentioned parade. I definitely think next year we'll see a new parade, at least one, if not more. Depending on how these drones go, maybe they'll expand that as well too. Meet and greets do seem to be popular. As people were excited when Maribel was coming and stuff like that. So hopefully they keep adding more meet and greets, and we'll see how Inside Out 2 does. Maybe they'll add more characters and stuff. So yeah, I definitely think that's going to be the plan though. Like these types of things for next year, right? They're not going to, like you said, they're not going to be able to get anything major open or even minor really open by next year. So it's going to be a lot of entertainment offerings and special packages and stuff.
I think, at D23, I think they're going to announce major things to get people, stoked, like the parade. People are going to go nuts for a new parade at the Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, or whatever park, right? Frankly, I think they should have a parade at every single park that they could do that. But those are big announcements to expect at D23. But there's a lot of little things that D won't announce at D23 because, like, meet and greets, that's like filler information in a big event like that, right? But I could see like drips and drabs of things through the fall into the winter for when spring break times or basically February.
But you can see like the timing with this, right? It's only 3, 4, 5 months ahead of time. They're not going to announce like for next summer anything now or anything like that. And the next thing coming is going to be whatever they're doing for the Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be, maybe into the new year before we get new things like that. But I'm sure more of these will come and there'll be little things along the way.
No, I agree, which is an excellent segue to what I want to talk to you about, Phil, about planning. Because again, I was talking about this on Discord, and I was talking to you before we started recording about planning a trip or planning our next Disney World trip.
Yep.
So the last 2 times that we went down the week before Christmas and then 2 weeks before Christmas in 22. And I've only been I've been almost every single trip in the last since 2019 has been during a party time because we've gone at the end of August, which is party time now. Do you think, or does a party season motivate you or influence you on when you book your trips? Because after going to so many party dates, I'm getting tired of being at the Magic Kingdom on the night that there's no party, right? Yeah. So everything is super crowded. So in our planning, like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm like, I don't want to go during party season, right? Because we've been thinking we want to go during a different time of year. So we picked May, good weather, but not exactly summer weather, but not exactly vacation crowds because it's like post spring break, pre-summer break type time frame. And family was sitting around. We're like, okay, well, can we go this year at some point? And we've got a tricky schedule with family sports and other things like that. We can't take a week off or anything else like that. So it would be like a weekend. And I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to go down during a party event if I'm not going to a party? And the answer, I think, is no, right? I think I want to avoid party season, which is basically half the year at this point, going to Disney World because I don't like, and basically it's just Magic Kingdom at this point. Yeah. I don't like Magic Kingdom crowds. I want to see Happily Ever After again, but I also don't want to see it with 5 other million people crammed into the hub. So obviously you're planning it based on just family schedules and stuff like that over the summer. But let's say you didn't have to concern yourself with time off or school or anything else like that. Are you pro going down during party season, or would you prefer to go away from it?
So there's definitely pros and cons to both. I think you very much have to take the parties into account. And if you're going during party season, you kind of have to say, well, we're going like for a party. Like you almost have to say we're doing a party, and that's going to be some of our Magic Kingdom time. Or you have to figure out some other way, because I fully agree with you. Especially when you're getting closer to the holiday and they start having them like the parties like 3 or 4 nights a week.
4 or 5 times a week.
It's really bad on the other days. Like it's almost impossible to get a spot to see the fireworks. It just creates so much more stress. So I think you basically either have to say if we're going during a party season,
you're going to the party.
We're going to the party. And if we don't want to do a party, then we're avoiding the party season,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. So you can do it, and this is all just more money. So you can go to the party, which is $150 to $180 a head to go. Obviously, there's some cheaper days farther out, but you're spending that much money. And then if you're not going to a party, you're almost forced to get hoppers. So you can do a Magic Kingdom day on a party day, but go in the morning and then hightail it out of there. Because when we did our party day, we went to the Christmas party. We got there obviously at like 4:00, and it was still a crowded park. I was expecting it to be like empty, like the last hour of the day, and it wasn't. Like the headliner still had like a 30 to 40 minute wait on most things, so it wasn't like super packed, but it wasn't like walk on anywhere that I was expecting. So. Yeah, avoid the party season unless you're saying I need to bring, I don't know, if your family of 4, it's an extra $700, $800 to go to these things. So like budget that in. So if you're planning, make sure you do that, because the parties are absolutely amazing. And to me, it was worth the extra money to go because the park was absolutely phenomenal. As long as they don't go back to 2019 where they just jammed as many people in for a hard ticket event.
100% agree.
But so far, the last couple of years, they've done a fantastic job of limiting the tickets, and it's a wonderful experience. But that being said, I don't want to spend $900 for 8 hours in Magic Kingdom and late at night. So we're going to go in May and avoid all of that. And I'm sad we're not going this Christmas again because it was 2 years in a row. But I'm also like, you know what? I don't need to deal with that. I want to see Happily Ever After with slightly less crowds.
I hear you.
So we'll see. All right, on to our game of the week. I was thinking, what could we do? Right, we're talking about last week. We were talking about converting rides into movies. That's our engagement that we're going to go over today. So I want to do another conversion game, and I don't know how many you can think of. But I've got a few. I wrote one down. So the idea is converting a restaurant into an attraction, right? It doesn't mean that you're converting a ride that serves you food, but it's converting a restaurant into an attraction. So just basically using the theme of the restaurant into a ride. I got one that I had to edit just to make it like friendly, family friendly, I think a little bit. To something that's somewhat plausible. Do you want me to go first, Phil, or do you want to?
You have yours, so why don't you go first since you're kind of going with it?
So if I was going to convert a restaurant at Disney World into a ride, I would pick Cinderella's Royal Table because how could you not want to ride in the castle? I think that's freaking awesome. But the ride would be you are stuck in the castle and you're trying to leave. There's a party going on in the castle. It's late at night and you need to get out. Think Cinderella. The clock strikes midnight and you got to go. However, every turn you take, there's another Disney princess waiting for you to ask you to come back to the party. So they're trying to keep you there and you're trying to get out and leave in time. Maybe there's a Cinderella excuse. Maybe it's just a funny thing like the scene from Wreck-It Ralph when all the Disney princesses are kind of lounging in like in a living room type of thing. And they're all talking like not out of character, but off script type of thing. I think that would be a really funny moment. The only problem I think Disney would have with something like this is I don't think they would want their Disney princesses chasing after people to keep them that's just not a good look. But I think it would be absolutely hilarious if they can figure out a way where the princesses are trying to keep you at the party while you're trying to go back before your carriage turns back into a pumpkin.
Yep.
Phil, do you have a good one? Because I have a couple other ones I was thinking about.
So I don't know if they're good ones, but so for the topic of converting a restaurant into an attraction, I did think of two. The first one I thought of I was trying to think of something Tomorrowland related, so I thought of Cosmic Rays.
Oh, that's a good one.
And using Sunny Eclipse as part of it, and I was thinking some sort of ride. If you've ridden Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, that's kind of a dark ride, but you go through the dark and you can kind of spin your thing around and going through space. And kind of Sunny Eclipse is like maybe the music there. You're trying to get to his concert or something like that. I feel like I haven't fully fleshed out the idea, but I think there's something related to Cosmic Rays in space, and
I like it.
Kind of a fun, almost Buck Rogers kind of.
So it's like more of like a roller coaster than anything else, or like a kid friendly
indoor roller coaster type thing. I think
I like it.
And then the other ride for converting a restaurant into an attraction I thought of was Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. Where something
I don't know if I consider that cheating or not, because that's almost like an attraction.
Yeah, well, I think it's something though, like where you're using, and it's kind of going back to what you talked about last week, like something a little more spooky in the parks, where you have kind of these old sci-fi things, and it could be some of the Disney stuff, even like some of the Mickey Mouse cartoons that dealt with that sort of thing, but somewhere where you're in like the classic cars and there's a chase scene and you're trying to get away from like Disney monsters or something like that. So that was the other idea.
I mean, one of the other ideas I had was like the Columbia Harbor House and some kind of like, I don't know, like revolutionary time frame type of ride. But I think that would be too gimmicky in my opinion. And I was trying to think like what
at one point there was talk of a dark ride related to the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So you could almost like relate that there.
That's true. You could do that. That would actually be pretty fun. I was trying to think of something to do in Animal Kingdom, and then I realized you're cooking food there, and like it's probably just not a good idea anyway. And none of their restaurants there have any like theme to them beyond like it's a good restaurant. Like I can't think of anything to do at like Satuli Canteen. It's just another Avatar ride.
Exactly.
Point, right. So that's kind of we basically have that as it is. So. I want you guys out there to hop into Discord. Let me know if you can think of any good restaurant to convert into, or a restaurant converted into attraction. The only other one I can think of that would be good, I just don't know how to do it, is the Garden Grill at Epcot. Just because it moves. I mean, that's the only thing that was like, it moves. It's got to be something, but I can't really think of anything.
For 1 hour every day, it spins really fast.
Yes. And that's how the food gets out of dispensaries. So anyway, if you guys could think of any other restaurants you'd like to see converted into attractions, hop on Discord and join the conversation there. And we're going to wrap up the show, I think. This is going to be a short show about the DBC engagement from, This is from A Music Life for Me from Discord. And he asked if there was a Disney attraction that hasn't been made into a movie. What would you want to see? What would you want to see? How it would work? And we kind of talked about this last week, where are there any more attractions that haven't been made to a movie? And there are a few. So, Phil, you've got one here. Why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So as far as an attraction in the parks that I would like to see made into a movie or a movie franchise or a show on Disney Plus or something, I picked Big Thunder Mountain. I think there's a lot of backstory to that attraction that isn't as widely, like, there's no like formal pre-show or anything like that explains it all. But if, for people that you look into it a little bit or you see about it, the whole idea is that gold was discovered in Big Thunder Mountain and a nearby settlement thrived. However, natural disasters caused by spirits that were protecting the mountain destroyed the towns. And so I think that obviously lends itself to a great kind of movie where like there's spirits protecting the town and stuff like that. And if you look at all the ones around the world, they have some really creative names of the people that are involved. Like the person that owns Big Thunder Mountain is Barnabas T. Bullion, and like Henry Ravenswood is involved in one of them. And like there's all these characters that have already kind of been created that I think lend themselves really well to being in kind of a world that's created. And there also hasn't really been a good Disney kind of Western frontier land.
Sure.
They tried to do that with the Lone Ranger, and that obviously didn't work and stuff like that. So I think this is an area that they could kind of have a new franchise with.
I think this is basically the plot of the last Ghostbusters movie, almost, right? It's a mine that gets spooky and things happen from it. So I had one, and I tried to think like outside the box, right? We can always pick an attraction. I've got like the obvious one that others in the community have mentioned was like the Safari in Animal Kingdom. You can do all sorts of shenanigans, but I'm like, that's just basically the Jungle Cruise, but like on land at this point. It's the same movie, right? You've got a vehicle and you're in the wilderness, right? So it could be great. It could also be very generic. So, poachers, stopping poachers, that whole type of thing. Who knows? Even though I would love to see it, I think you could just basically watch, what's the show on Disney Plus? It's like with all the Animal Kingdom folks.
Oh,
kind of watching that.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of it.
Yep.
Sorry guys, but you can find it. But the one I really liked, when I had an idea, was converting Main Street into a movie. So I'm thinking like a Downton Abbey period piece, but like early 20th century US. You can lend yourself to any sort of type of plot. It doesn't have to be anything like spooky or whatever. I mean, think of like the Wonder Years, but for early 20th century town, right? It's just a day in the life, and you create characters, and they go to school, or they go to work, and they have friends, and things happen, and it's just maybe some historical stuff is going on in the background, because this would probably be like post World War One, or actually maybe post World War One, or the first 2 decades. So it could be,
I was gonna say, I think it's a little before that, right? It's more like turn of the century.
So it could be like, baseball games are, just starting to hit, like, the national zeitgeist or whatever. There's some cool things you can do that just, this is what life was like 100.
Yeah, and almost like not going back as far, but like Little House on the Prairie or something like that. But like there, and you can even have it set in Marceline, right? Call it Marceline or something like that.
You know what? I think that could be really cool. I would watch it. It would have to be really good for me to watch more of it, but like it would have to be extremely character driven. That just happens to be on like a old fancy Main Street, right? Like the moment they start shoehorning in like the Dapper Dans and like this and like that, it's just like, nope, that's not going to work. But it's just got to be like that style of like downtown facade in that time period. Maybe you can have subtle nods to like calling the different stores the same things with like the different
The Emporium or whatever. And
right. Well, I was just also thinking like the etchings on the glass on
Yeah.
Main Street, like those could be actual characters or like their offices or something else like that. That'd be, I think that's as far as a nod you can go. Maybe you can name things like Casey's or anything else like that, but like as far as that goes, like that's it, and the rest is all about characters and stories. So I think that would be really cool. Other than that, I was just thinking like, I mean, you could do all sorts of like Tomorrowland stuff, but they've kind of done that already. Like, I'm trying to think of the rides that aren't movies, and it's basically like the Speedway, which is just too generic of anything. I mean, basically that's cars, right?
Yeah.
You got the People Mover, but like that doesn't lend itself to like a movie. And almost everything else. Like, do you want to see? I know you want to see a Living in the Land movie, but I don't know. I don't know what you could do out of that movie other than it being like a documentary about something.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Do you want to read some of what the community
Sure.
had for ideas?
Yeah, so Wheezy suggested a movie based on the Disney World Railroad. The idea of it being a kid's imagination or dream going on the train through all the places that the train goes, Main Street, Frontierland, that sort of thing. I kind of envisioned similar to how the Polar Express worked, but the Walt Disney World
Different.
Railroad, but going through the lands of the Magic Kingdom. T.L. Madden suggested something about the parks themselves, which I think a number of people are chatting about. You know, they basically the idea of they should just do the Kingdom Keepers movie or show that was rumored to happen. He also mentioned a sci-fi adventure around the Sea Base Alpha that used to be in the Living Seas over in Epcot.
I like that idea actually.
So that could be kind of cool, like a underwater, whether it's a family or just like a community that lives underwater and that sort of thing in the future. It could be kind of cool. Instead of, there's so much future things in space and stuff like that. We haven't really done like an underwater one. So that could be kind of cool. Mom of Six suggested the safari, mentioning an eclectic mix of strangers on safari together when, of course, something happens where the Jeep breaks down in the middle of the savannah and then multiple adventures and near disasters ensues.
So, again, we didn't get a lot of engagement with this because I don't think there were a lot of options to create movies out of. But I like the railroad one, so well done to Wheezy on that. And I do like the idea of just like, because we got the announcement. There's like an Epcot movie coming out or show coming out on Disney Plus, and I just think Disney Plus is missing out on a ton of just park content they should be doing. I mean, you want to promote people. You're having issues where people filling hotels at Disney World. Why not put shows about the resort on Disney Plus and a very well produced like tour of the Riviera? That's not just like a TVC like sales pitch to like the audience, but like an actual like really cool thing. Like,
more about like the creation of them and stuff like that, and show the footage of it being built and stuff like that.
Well, not only that, like you could go to almost any deluxe resort and ask for a tour, and they kind of show you around like all the hidden stuff and like the themes. Like there's somebody there to do that for you. Why not build that show? Like every week is a new hotel, and it's like a 6-episode miniseries, or like the Polynesian. This is the room that the Beatles broke up in, and all this others, or they signed the documents to break up the Beatles. Like there's history that's happened at resorts. Like they should be sharing a lot of that stuff, and I think people would. I mean, at least Disney fans would lap that up, because even Disney fans on message boards. I'm going on a rant here at the end of the show. Even Disney fans on Disney boards are like, wait, we don't subscribe to Disney Plus because we don't like MCU or Star Wars. So what else is there for me? And other than maybe like having access to all the movies, there really isn't much for Disney park fans. And
there's the occasional thing. Obviously, it started with the Imagineering story, which supposedly season 2 is coming, and then there was Behind the Attraction and stuff, but they just need more of it, right?
I mean the thing is with Behind the Attraction, as much as I love that show, it's not compelling to like, I got to see the next one, because it's a collection of some of the rides don't excite me, or some of them are like, it's all Disneyland centric, and I'm not a Disneyland person as much as I enjoy watching them. I want to see stuff about Walt Disney World, because that's
also be nice to see more, like when they did that special for Harmonious, like, and they had that kind of special performance and stuff like do more things like that. I think would be helpful too.
I mean, they should have a documentary film, and every time they build an attraction. I mean, like, imagine, Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens up, and like a month later, there's like a documentary about the whole process, because they film this stuff for social media.
Oh yeah.
why not make like a 3 or 4 hour mini series of like, 5 or 6 episodes of the development and it coming together, and you can watch it get built up. You can easily produce something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It'd be really awesome. And I don't know. I just think there should be more park content. And then why not use the park as a backdrop for other shows? It's on Disney Plus. I just remembered this. They did a game show with kids, and they had to run around like Epcot doing like scavenger hunts. It was always
Yeah.
at night, obviously, when the park was. But they did stuff. They should do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they did, and it's just buried and they never found out.
I don't
about
know.
it. Who knows? But like stuff like the Imagineering thing, I think the Epcot thing is going to be really awesome when we finally get to see that. I would just like to see more of that, and that's got to be cheap, easy content for
You'd
Disney
think it's
Plus, right?
and you'd think it'd be like you said, relatively cheap, and it's like, I don't want to say free because you have to pay for Disney Plus, but it's almost like free marketing for the park. Like it
is.
It feels like it cross sells everything, right? So it's like,
I mean, how many of these shows could you have gotten for like 3 episodes of Secret Invasion?
exactly. Like a million.
$30 million episodes. Give me a Magic Kingdom episode, for goodness sakes. All right, so next week we're going to have a new DBC engagement. This is going to start tomorrow or today when you're listening to this. So we mentioned earlier in the show, Joe Rohde's back at WDI, and he's giving a master class. And if you don't know, master class is basically he's coming in and he's just think of like a TED talk, right, for his expertise. So my question to all of you out there is, if you had to pick a character from a Disney movie or show, now these are fictional characters, which character would you pick to give a masterclass that you would sit down and listen to? I think obvious answers are like Mickey Mouse or whatever, but would you like to hear a masterclass on bounty hunting from The Mandalorian, or a cooking masterclass from Remy, or something silly like that? I think those are really cool answers. So if you could have multiple and give me your top 3, I think there's plenty of things out there to select. We'll talk about them next week. So hop on Discord and make sure you get on that. Phil, anything else we need to
Nope,
add?
just a reminder of our social media accounts as well. We'll put everything out on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. We're all at the DBC Pod.
Excellent. Yes, and make sure if you're still listening to this and you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button at the very least. We really appreciate that. And Phil, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching, listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.